Did it live up to your expectations after 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I had my first sip and I was like, oh my gosh.
You're back, baby.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 273.
And I'm getting ready to, well, I'm glad we're talking about Paris because I'm about to go spend another couple days in Paris here in just a little bit.
What a life you live.
I mean, this isn't normal. I know that I don't typically just like come back and then a month later go back.
To France?
Yeah.
Really?
I go a couple times a year, but like...
Sure about that?
I feel like I've gone a lot this year. Well, we have the Olympics. We went for your family's trip. Like, I'm going with friends because I'm going to the Eras tour. And we're doing like a France trip before we go to Stockholm for that. And then I have a wedding after that in France. And like, there's just a lot going on in France this year. But so I'm really excited about that. And you potentially have a conference in France later in the year. So we'll see. We might be there a lot this year, but no complaints. I'm very excited to go back, but I'm excited to talk about Paris today. I'm always excited to talk about Paris, which is always a lot of fun.
I love talking about Paris.
Yeah. It's a pretty great city. Like, I still have a running list of museums. Like, I've been several times to Paris, and I even spent 7 days there, like a full week last year. And during that time, I was like, okay, I want to write about smaller museums in Paris. I want to write about like unique things to do in Paris and stuff. And I went to so many museums and I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like I've seen most of them, right? And like, I'm just scratching the surface. Like, I'm still have a list of things I want to do and see, and like restaurants. I always have a running list of restaurants I want to try. So I'm always excited to do that. But one that I'm definitely going back to next week is Chez Genu.
Super jealous of that.
We talked about that one in the last episode when we mentioned our full 2-week itinerary, and we will be discussing it today. So spoiler alert, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Paris is one of those cities for me. Well, a lot of places. Any place I've been to, if someone is like, hey, I'm taking a vacation, and I go, where to? And they'll like mention something that I've been to. Mm-hmm. My gut reaction is to be like, oh my gosh, okay. So like this, and I feel like Paris is very much like that.
Yeah.
Eating throughout Italy is very much like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We had a lot of fun eating in Italy.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun.
But Paris is definitely a location for that.
Yes. And while getting ready to go back, because I'm going back for almost 3 weeks, which is a lot. Not France total. Like, I'm going to be in France for a little bit, going to the Loire Valley for a little bit. I'm doing like a little Loire Valley road trip with some friends of mine. And then we're going to the Eras tour in Stockholm. And then I'm coming back and going to a wedding in Normandy for one of my friends. And yeah, so it's just a lot of back and forth. I'll be in France a little bit. I'll be in Stockholm for a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And I went to Sephora or Ulta today to grab some like last minute things because for the Eras tour, well, first of all, I have a wedding. So I have like some makeup that I needed to restock on. And like, you know, I kind of needed some things from Sephora, just like sunscreen to wear like underneath of makeup and things like that. And then I was like, okay, I need some like good eyeshadow and good makeup for the Eras tour because I really like, I'm going as like doing the Reputation, like her outfit from the Reputation part of the tour. I found like kind of a knockoff thing of it on Etsy and then glammed it up a bit. And I don't know, I really wanted to do sort of like a pretty bold eye with it, eyeshadow and stuff. So I wanted to go to Sephora and figure out how to do that. And it was great. I have such a lovely time. Not Sephora. I had such a lovely time at Ulta because the person I talked to was like super knowledgeable and had worked there for a long time and kept being like, and wait, there's more. And like, you know, it was a lot of fun. And then I ran into another lady.
You mean a salesman?
Yeah, but she like, yeah, but I don't have
to
buy.
Oh, wait, there's more. And you're like, oh my gosh, there is.
No, but like, I don't know. She like kind of knew what I was talking about. Like when I was, she knew what I meant.
Oh, I bet she did.
Oh my gosh, it's fine. No, like she helped me find the things that I needed to find. Okay. I don't know. And she was just really great and personable. And then we met this other lady while she was like helping me, who was like trying to find perfumes. And I was talking to her a long time about finding perfumes, because I know last year I was trying to find a perfume. I was in Paris. I didn't say that, but I was like, I was like so overwhelmed because I kept going to all these perfume shops and like nothing just seemed to fit right, or I would get confused because I just smelled stuff all day. And then I finally like found a place, and I was like, mine was actually a gender neutral. Like it could be male or female, and it smells really, really good. And I was like, I feel like if you don't want to smell like super, super girly, but don't want to smell like a man, sometimes the gender neutral ones are really good, like middle ground. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I talked to you. I don't know. It was great. I had a lovely time at Ulta. So I don't know. That was my highlight, I think, was the lovely time I had at Ulta with Sierra, the sales rep, but also the other lady I met who was trying to figure out perfumes.
Well, my highlight has also been this story.
It was great.
That's good.
And then I FaceTimed like my best friend, because I was at the coffee shop this morning picking up more coffee, and there was a money plant, right? And they're so cool because they kind of are all like wound around each other, the like the trunk bit. And it's really cool. And it said that it was pet friendly. And I got really excited because we only have one plant that has stood the test of time, and that's our Christmas cactus. And then all of the other plants we have tried to bring into this house have somehow just didn't make it. We tried everything. We got a calathea. Apparently those are really hard. We could not keep that thing alive.
Is a money plant easy?
Yeah. So that's what I was like.
How
I
do you
saw
know?
that, and I contacted my best friend, who is like a green thumb, has all kinds of plants. I was like, I need to know, is this an easy plant? And like, I needed to know everything. And so she gave me all these suggestions. I ended up FaceTiming her when I got to Lowe's for a long time. And we talked about like money plants and like their care and all the things that she recommended. And I was like, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. She's also going with me to the Eras tour. So I'm going to see her next week. But yeah, that was another highlight, was just FaceTiming her and talking about plants. And I was like, which plant do I get? Because I was FaceTiming her. It was great.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got the money plant. I was really excited about that.
Yeah. Did we name her? I think Darla. Is that what we're going to go with? We like to name our plants. And I was like, it has to be a lady, because all the male ones we've named have died. And so we need a little change of pace, because Sprout is our Christmas cactus, and she's thriving. She's like 20 years old. Isn't she?
I was first responsible for her growth and care in 2012.
Yeah, so she's been around. She's a sturdy gal.
She is a sturdy gal.
She is. She's been through it, and she's thriving. I really like Darla from the Little Rascals. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's what we're gonna do. It popped into my head, and I was like, that's a good name.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So switching gears from Ulta and money plants.
What's your highlight?
Oh, my highlight was hearing about your time at Ulta.
Was it really?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Okay.
The ups and the downs. It was wonderful. No, we've had some beautiful weather as of late. I feel like I'm like an old man, but I'm like, man, this is really nice weather. So yeah,
it has been lovely.
That's what I'm going to go with. Alrighty. So, as Kat said, we're going to be talking about Paris today, and specifically how to spend 2 full days in Paris. If that's all you have, we have some Paris content already on the podcast. So
I think we have a second timer's guide to Paris. We have a 5-day itinerary for Paris. We have, I think, hidden gems of Paris.
Yeah, whole bunch of Paris and a bunch of France content, obviously.
So if you guys are new here and you haven't been around for a while, I have a second blog, aside from Worldwide Honeymoon, where we do couples travel that goes along with this podcast. I have a second blog called France Voyager, and it's just about France travel. I used to live in France for a little bit. When I was studying abroad, I was there for like 5 or 6 months in Grenoble, which is in the Alps. And then, I've just gone back and visited France many, many times since then. I love it. I love visiting the countryside of France as well as Paris. And I've been to Paris several times. So it's really fun. And if you guys want information about travel to France and Paris, head to that blog because there's tons on there about all sorts of things. And so we have lots of Paris content on and France content on the podcast as well because of that. So, and I'm excited to talk with the Loire Valley when I get back. But yeah, today is 2 days in Paris. How to spend just 2 days. So if you're adding on, if you're doing a bigger trip and you're like, okay, like I know Paris is a big hub city for a lot of people to fly into internationally or from around the world. And it's a great kind of starting point for a lot of trips. So, 2 days I actually feel like is a good amount of time to sort of get to know the city because it's a smaller city. Like it feels a lot small. I mean, it's a big city, but it feels small. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was my second time in Paris. This was Kat's 72nd time, give or take.
Okay.
So we're going to talk all about how to spend 2 full days in Paris. So we'll start off with our thoughts prior.
Okay.
I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
I love Paris. Absolutely love Paris. I was a little nervous that it wasn't going to live up to my like romantic recollections. So like there was that slight bit of nervousness there, but overall very excited. I was anticipating quite a bit of construction because of the Olympics coming up this summer. And my thoughts prior also were like, how do you say maybe in French?
Peut-être.
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 Yeah.
Well, peut-être, je parlais un peu de français.
Sorry, I zoned out as soon as you said that. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Peut-être?
Peut-être.
Peut-être.
Like it's P-E-U-T space D''ETRE. If that helps.
Maybe.
Okay.
Je parlais un peu de français.
Okay.
And I did.
Oui?
Those were my thoughts prior. What about you?
Yeah. Again, I've gone quite a few times, but I think this particular time, I was a little nervous about it because everyone was like, oh, like, don't even bother coming before the Olympics. Don't even bother coming. Unless if you're going to the Olympics, like, don't go to Paris. Like, a lot of people were like, don't even go to Paris until after the Olympics this year. And I will say that I was nervous about the construction. I was nervous about the crowds. Like, I think that there would be a lot more crowds and chaos just before the Olympics. I wonder if a lot of people are pushing their visits to Paris, before the summertime when it is going to be crazy. So I was a little nervous about that, but I still figured that like everything's still open. You know what I mean? Like you can still go to the Eiffel Tower, you can still go to the Louvre, like all those things. So I wasn't like too worried about it because I was like, okay, at the end of the day, you can still go to a lot of these things that people want to go and see. So even if it's crowded, I think it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Or even if there is construction, it's clearly not stopping people from visiting museums and different things in Paris. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts prior. I mean, I'm also always excited to go. And as a pro tip, and I mentioned this in the last episode, but if you guys are flying from the United States into Charles de Gaulle, for the most part, unless they're turning the plane or landing a different way, you will be flying on the right side of the plane. If you're looking ahead of you towards the cockpit, on the right side of the plane is where you're going to be flying past Paris. So if you want to see the Eiffel Tower, and this isn't a guarantee because if you land and it's foggy or it's rainy, like you may not see it, but there is a chance that you can see Paris and the Eiffel Tower as you're flying in to the Charles de Gaulle airport because it is north of the city. So it'll be on your right side of the plane if you are facing the cockpit. So yeah, if you are booking a plane ticket to Paris, maybe get on the right side of the plane so that you can potentially see it as you land, which I always like to do, and it's a lot of fun. But aside from all of that, what were your first impressions upon revisiting Paris? Because the last time you went was in July of 2019.
Yes.
So before COVID, you did go at peak tourist season.
I did. Yeah, it was definitely quieter this time around. Mm-hmm. Beautiful spring weather. Beautiful flowers, just as romantic as I remembered it.
Yeah.
A lot of construction.
Blossoms.
A lot of construction.
Yeah.
What about you?
Construction for sure. It was actually busier I think, than it was this time last year. Because that's when I spent my week in Paris, was April of last year. And so going back again in April of this year, it was busier. So I do think people are kind of trying to sneak in their visits before the summer, before the Olympics and stuff. But still as lovely as ever. Spring flowers everywhere, absolutely stunning. It was great to go. I will notice that they had a ton of rain before we went. So the Seine was super flooded. Like, where there is a pathway along the Seine where people can run and walk and hang out, completely underwater. It was crazy. And it did start receding like by the next day or two, and it should be back to normal by the time I leave to go again. But yeah, that was interesting. And we were also there during the Paris Marathon. So we did get a little stuck in that during the race, but it was a lot of fun to see and just watch that. So maybe Christopher will run that one day. Who knows?
Well, I've received a few invites, but
okay,
nothing's in the books.
But yeah, the weather was pretty nice. Yeah, it was great.
It was. Before we get into the fun stuff, why don't you talk about the logistics? Getting there, where to stay, when to visit, that good stuff.
All right. As far as getting there, most people who are flying outside of Europe are going to be flying into Charles de Gaulle Airport. But there's also the Orly Airport as well. That's like, I always feel like it's more for like discount airlines or maybe more flying within Europe and stuff like that. So you have two airports, Charles de Gaulle and Orly. From Charles de Gaulle, you can obviously take a taxi or an Uber. If you do take a taxi, always go to the official taxi stands, because people just offering you taxi can sometimes be people scamming you. And they have set rates that they have set with the taxi companies. So they should take credit card as well. So go to the official taxi stands if you want to take a taxi. Make sure that they're charging you the exact rate, and then you'll be good. If you are taking public transportation, there is the Rossi bus that you can take from Charles de Gaulle to downtown, and then also the RER-B train, or the RER-B train, also goes into downtown. From Orly, there is, of course, Ubers and taxis, but make sure, again, use the official taxis that have the set rates. And then, and again, there is a taxi stand to go to. And then there's also the opportunity to take the Orly bus that'll take you into downtown, or you could take the Orly-Val Metro to the Antony train station, and then from there catch the RER-B train. So those are how to get there. There are also tons of train stations throughout the city of Paris. So if you were coming from France or nearby countries, you can certainly take the train into there as well. As far as where to stay, I have a whole blog post on France Voyager on where to stay in Paris, kind of based on your travel style, all of that sort of thing. But some favorites that I'll list out here really quick. The Hôtel des Arts Montmartre. That's a really cute hotel that I've stayed at before in the Montmartre area. Fantastic hotel, great service. And it's within walking distance to a lot of fun areas in Montmartre. Hotel Atmospheres, which is in sort of the Latin Quarter area. That is where we stayed with your parents. I stayed there with my parents before for the Christmas markets and stuff. Great hotel. It has an elevator. I think it's really helpful. Like, it's a great hotel for both sets of our parents and stuff, because they do have walk-in showers and things like that, which is really nice for, if you have bad knees or bad back or something like that. So I really appreciated that. And it's also just a beautiful hotel. And then if you were going luxury, the Grand Hotel du Palais Royal is right next to the Louvre and all of that area. So that is a luxury hotel that you can check out while you're there. As far as when to visit, anytime you can go and visit. I will say that summer is the peak, and during the Olympics this year, it's probably going to be rough. So I don't necessarily recommend coming during the Olympics, unless if you're here for the Olympics, like if you're actually coming for that, because hotel prices are crazy. Just they're increasing the rates of public transportation. I'm sure flights are also crazy. So like I don't necessarily recommend coming during the Olympics this year, but before and after, I think you're going to be totally fine. But yeah, it can be pretty hot. Sometimes there's not air conditioning in the summertime, but it is the peak tourist season, and the weather is usually pretty nice during that time. Winter is the least busiest, which is great. It's also the cheapest time to go, except for the holiday season when you have like the lights and like the Christmas lights and the markets and stuff. January, February is probably your least busy time, which is great to go too, but it is cold and rainy. And then I personally like April or late September, early October timeframe. I think it's not that busy. The weather's still really nice. You either have some fall foliage and some autumn stuff going on, or you have the flowers in the spring. So that's always really nice too. So really you can come anytime that fits your schedule. But yeah, there's kind of pros and cons for each season. I also have an article all about that on France Voyager as well, when to visit Paris. But aside from all of that stuff, let's get into an itinerary of how we spent our 2 days in Paris and how you can do the same.
Yes, so this is going to be exactly how we spent our 2 days in Paris. And I will get started with day one. So day one, we actually flew in pretty early in the morning. So if you ended up arriving the night before and you're ready to hit the ground running, that's great. If not, do what we did and drop the bags off at the hotel so you're not carting bags around all over. First thing we did was head straight to Les Dumego for just, I mean, quite frankly, the best possible first thing to do in Paris. We had a marvelous lunch, starting first with the ancient hot chocolate, the best hot chocolate in Paris. This was honestly something that I was so looking forward to. And
Did it live up to your expectations after 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I had my first sip and I was like, oh my gosh.
You're back, baby.
Like, yes. Oh, like it was just as good as I remembered. And like there are certain things that I will like remember and romanticize, and that hot chocolate is one of them. And it's just it's so perfect.
Yeah. It's like a melted creamy candy bar, but not too sweet.
Not too sweet.
Yeah,
no.
It's like a dark chocolate melty candy bar.
Yeah, slight
creamy,
acidity.
Little acidity.
Too, which is really nice. I mean, the whole thing is just wonderful.
They give you quite a big pot, which is about like 2.5, maybe 3 cups.
I would say 2.5.
Yeah. We usually split it because it's pretty big and it is very filling.
I don't know if I would recommend splitting it again. Like, we're going later this year, and I don't know if I'm going to split it. I'm just going to put it that way.
Okay. But we had we ended up getting lunch there because it was probably like 12 by the time we like got to our hotel. We were actually able to check in early, which is another highlight of coming in the not super peak touristy season.
Yeah.
Is that if you're lucky, you might actually be able to get into your room a little bit earlier, which has happened to me a couple of times. It doesn't happen often, but it has a couple times, and it's fantastic because you can actually go and like maybe shower or at least like freshen up and change your clothes and not have to do it in like the lobby of the hotel, going through your stuff and then going to the hotel bathroom, like the public bathroom. Yeah, like back and forth. Like I've had to do that so many times where I'm going to freshen up there, and it's just not nearly as great as just like kind of settling everything in your room and doing that.
Yeah. Back to the hot chocolate. So yeah, like you said, we ate lunch here as well. I had a delicious vegetable sandwich. Super good. Whole bunch of fresh vegetables, some hard-boiled egg. Fantastic. And then I also finished my lunch with a Napoleon pastry, which was also wonderful. I mean, it really was just like the perfect little introduction to Paris. From there, we made the long trek across the street over to Église de Saint-Germain-des-Prés, which is the oldest church in Paris.
And that's my favorite church, I think, to visit in Paris. It's still a working church.
Does not require a ticket to go in.
No, it's free to visit. No tickets required. It's like never super busy. Has a cute little garden next door, which in the spring has all sorts of little flowers. And it's just there's frescoes painted everywhere. And again, it's the oldest church in Paris, so it's seen a lot of history. I know that they were starting to do some renovations on it, at least on the outside when we were there, but beautiful church. It's absolutely stunning. It has like a starry kind of like painting on the top of it, and then it does have some really cool frescoes. So it's a really, really beautiful church that I highly recommend wandering around and exploring for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that we walked through Saint-Germain. We were planning to go to Lauderay, but it was closed. Sad. But it was what it was. If I had known that, I think I would have gotten maybe 2 desserts. But
okay.
I'm playing the hand I'm dealt here. From there,
I believe there's a chocolate shop like really close to Lauderay. That
There
I
was.
think the macarons are even better there.
okay.
I think it's Richards is the chocolate place.
Yeah, well, we did not go.
Even better. So if you do wander over there and you don't go to Lauderay, I think they have the best pistachio croissant. So good. They're better macarons, I think.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Just go next door to the chocolate shop. Or not next door, but it's close by. Yeah.
We ended up walking through Saint Germain though, and over to Saint Chapelle. Saint Chapelle has 15 different stained glass windows, all 13 to 15 meters high, so approximately 40 to 45 feet high. It is also known as the most complete example of 13th century stained glass art.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
incredible.
stunning.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it feels like being inside of a kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on a sunny day when the sun rays are just pouring in through the stained glass. Everything is so brightly lit and so vibrant and just absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth checking out, especially if it's on a sunny day, like I said. After that, we strolled over to Notre Dame, still under construction. Sad. Couldn't get too near it. That's also when we noticed that the Seine was gushing.
Yeah. And so Notre Dame, if you guys are listening to this later on after this is published, it should be opening in December of 2024. We will see if that actually happens.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'm sure at least at some point in 2025 it will be reopening, which is really exciting because it has been a long time before. It's been a long time coming. I mean, it was sad that the fire happened in 2019, and I think we're all really excited for it to be back up and running.
Agreed. After Notre Dame, we walked back over near where the hotel was, and we strolled past and visited Saint Etienne du Mont Church. If you have seen the movie Midnight in Paris, this is the church with the steps where Owen Wilson gets picked up to go into the past. It was kind of cool. It really was.
I visited this church on accident. Like, I stumbled upon this like a few years ago when I was visiting, and we were walking to dinner, and I was like, oh, wait a second. And it was nighttime. So I was like, wait a second. This looks familiar.
Where's the Fitzgeralds?
Exactly. And it was so cool. It's also right next to the Pantheon. So if you're not sure where to find it, it's right next to the Pantheon. You can't miss it. And if you have the time, the Pantheon's really cool to visit. I think it has some of the best views of Paris from the top. But it's just a really cool thing to visit. But the Saint Etienne du Mont is lovely. And we went inside of it this time, which was also really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, you and I got drinks at, was it Lennox?
Yeah, it's like the restaurant Lennox.
Lennox?
Yeah, I've eaten there before. It's good food. We just went and got some drinks because I think, we went to the hotel for a little bit, put our feet up or whatever. And then, we were like, oh, let's get a drink before dinner,
And it was nice.
Yeah.
I got my customary Negroni. It was a great Negroni.
Mm-hmm. I got a spritz.
This is also where I had secondhand embarrassment. We were sitting outside at a lovely little table for two. And there was a pair of French women next to us, both smoking cigarettes, which, I mean, pretty common in Paris.
Yeah.
And
you can't smoke inside in France, but if you are on a terrace outside, it's fair game. So, like, just know that if you are going to be sitting outside on terraces, people might be smoking. Yeah.
Yes. And then there was so it's us, it's them, and then on the other side, this group of four sits down. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they sit down, one of the group reaches over and goes, you wouldn't be allowed to do that in the United States. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And without missing a beat, this French woman flicks her cigarette and she goes, welcome to France.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And the
I
other...
mean, look, I don't love it.
Oh,
because
I don't
most of the time
right.
it's not like they're trying to like not get the smoke in your face either. And like I sometimes get a sore throat from cigarette smoke like when I'm around it. And we had people on either side of us smoking.
I weirdly kind of enjoy the smell of cigarette smoke.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it doesn't bother me anymore because I feel like now that I've gone to France so many times, I'm used to it. But like, I do get a sore throat sometimes, especially when I'm like surrounded by it. And so that definitely happened. But like, yeah, but I don't love it. But it's like, I mean, it is what it is. Like they have a bigger smoking culture there, and that's what it is. You know.
Yeah. Regardless, I could not imagine saying, in the country that I'm not currently present in, but where I do hail from, this is what we do, and I would appreciate you abiding by that over here. Couldn't imagine doing something like that, but I mean, that's just me.
And it's not just Americans who do that, trust me.
Oh, no, it is not.
Like, I've seen many Europeans and other people from other countries do that here, too.
Oh, yeah. Just like, I'm not that guy. Then we had a wonderful dinner at Chez Genu. Mm-hmm. I think you and I had order envy throughout this meal, except for dessert. But Kat and I split the toast de Saint Nectaire, which was toasted bread with toasted melty cheese on top.
With Saint Nectaire, with cheese on it. Yeah,
little like fresh vegetables, side salad sort of thing, which was very good. My parents had the avocado crayfish grapefruit tartare. Mm-hmm. Very, very good. You and I both ordered tagliatelle with snails. Mm-hmm. Again, incredible.
Yeah.
My parents got a dish that was it was haddock in like a... I
want to say it was like a haddock bernard, which is like a mashed potato-y type thing. So it was like a little like... I don't want to call it like, I guess like a shepherd's pie, but it almost felt like it where it was like a mashed potatoes, but like there was smoked haddock in it. I don't know how to describe it, but...
I think you did it.
Gosh,
mashed potatoes was with haddock.
There we go. Yeah, mashed potatoes with haddock. There was other stuff too.
Really
like,
good.
Very good. Yeah.
And then we finished it up. I'm told that this is famous on TikTok. The chocolate mousse. Mm-hmm. Just a big old scoop and just like plop on the plate.
From like a gigantic bowl. They just like it's a decorative bowl and they're just like bloop, bloop. So good.
Really, really good
so
chocolate
good.
mousse.
Probably the best dessert I had that whole trip. I
think you're right. Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And then the wine. Cruz Hermitage wine.
Which was also
so good. We drank way too much of it. We were jet lagged. I was like ready for bed after. I was very full and very ready for bed after that.
As soon as we sat down in Chez Genu and it was just like so loud, it was so high energy. All the people are packed in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like I'm back in Paris. This is awesome. Could have been also like a little influence from that Negroni, but I was like, just keep the wine coming. Like it was just like
really good wine.
Oh my gosh, it was
such
so
good.
But that was day one.
I don't regret it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was day one.
I slept hard that night. That's for sure. But yeah, so that was day one. So day two, we're going to my personal favorite place for hot chocolate for breakfast here, and that's Carrette or Carrette. I personally, there's two locations. I want to say I don't know why I'm blanking on this, but I'm pretty sure it's Trocadero is the first location area. And then the other one is Place des Vosges. I only go to Place des Vosges. That's the only time when I've gone to Carrette, I've only gone to Place des Vosges. First of all, I think it's beautiful scenery because it's like this gorgeous little square surrounded by these gorgeous buildings. So it's a beautiful little park, but also it's less crowded and it's just like a beautiful little area. So I really enjoy it at Place des Vosges. But we all got like pain au raisin, some croissant. We just got like a croissant pastry and the ancient hot chocolate with some whipped cream. And I think it's the best one. I think it's creamier. I think I did a whole TikTok video about the best hot chocolates in Paris. And I will say I put Carrette as my number one. Just right under it, like barely right under it. Les Deux Magots. And then Angelina, I don't even think it's worth your time. Like, they're famous for it, but, like, there are better places for hot chocolate.
They're not Les Deux Magots.
They're not Les Deux Magots. They're not Carrette. Try both. Try all of them and make your own mind up. That's why I wanted us all to try them. I wanted your parents to try it. I wanted you to try it because I want you to try them and see which ones you like better.
Yeah. What is it about Carrettes that causes you to bump it above?
I like that it's a little less acidic than Les Deux Magots, but I don't know. I just feel like it's more well-rounded. Like, they're both really, really, really good.
Great mouthfeel.
Yes. I mean, yeah. And then it is nice that you get, like, the whipped cream that you can put on top of it. But it's great even without the whipped cream. I recommend trying it without it before
Yeah.
putting whipped cream in it.
Yeah. See, for me,
yeah.
for Les Deux Mégots, I like that there's like a hint of acidity. That's what.
Yeah, so
that's
it could
what
just be
I
personal
push.
preference. And I don't dislike it because I really like Les Deux Mégots, but correct. That's the one for me, I think.
Here we are.
I guess I'll have to take my friends when we go and see what they think. Next up, we go to a place that I feel like you definitely need to visit, especially if it's your first time, the Louvre. We spent quite a bit of time here. It's crazy how busy the Louvre is, particularly in the area where the Mona Lisa is. And there's a lot to see there. I think the Winged Victory is pretty close to the Mona Lisa as well. There's a lot of hot spots kind of in that area. There's so much to see at the Louvre that are so much better than just the Mona Lisa. I mean, the Mona Lisa, again, she's fantastic. There's a reason why she's really popular, but there are so many, like, it's crazy to me because I did a guided tour of the Louvre the last time I went, and this was not a famous painting until it was stolen in the early 1900s, and then it got very famous because it was stolen and then recovered. So, and you know what's crazier is the fact that, like, you have the Mona Lisa, which she's pretty tiny. She's like a pretty small painting, and she's surrounded by glass. You have to wait in a big line to get to her, and then you turn around and you have the Wedding of Cana. I think it's the largest piece of art in the Louvre. Literally, if you just turn around, that's what's behind you, and it's insane. It is a masterpiece. It's gigantic, and that's crazy that you're waiting in line for that. But anyway, to each their own. Definitely go see the Mona Lisa. We did not bother waiting in line. You can go and see her in passing as you walk past. But some other things to spot in the Louvre: the Winged Victory, of course, Venus de Milo, the Mona Lisa, of course, Liberty Leading the People by Eugene Delacroix was just restored and put out. It was under restoration when we were there. I saw an article the other day that they have just restored it to its former glory and have put it back. So definitely go see that if you get the chance. There's the Coronation of Napoleon, which is another fantastic painting. The Great Sphinx of Tarsus. And then my personal favorite, and we got to see this last time now, is the Hans Holbein portrait of Anne of Cleves. If you guys are fans of Tudor history, or if you guys are a fan of the musical Six, this is the portrait that Henry VIII saw of Anne of Cleves, that he was like, you know what? That's the one. And she's beautiful, and they just restored it, and they just put it back out, and it's a whole different part of the Louvre that's not crowded at all. So I highly recommend going to check out the Hans Holbein. There's a whole section, and then you have her Anne of Cleves portrait, which is fantastic. After that, so we went to Corrèze, we went to the Louvre, we ate lunch around the Louvre, and then we went to the Eiffel Tower. And if you have the time, we tried to go to Musée de l'Orangerie, which is where the big giant Monet water lily paintings are. Sadly, we were there on a Sunday when it's the only time it's the first Sunday of the month when they're free, but you have to have a reservation to get in. So we didn't do that, and we didn't get to go. But if you do get to go, highly recommend it. It's a stunning, stunning museum. But we did go to the Eiffel Tower, had to go check that out. After that, we went to the Arc de Triomphe just to see it. You can also go up the Arc de Triomphe and have fantastic views of the city, including the Eiffel Tower. And then we ended the night with dinner at Faubourg des Monts, which is actually a plant-based vegan restaurant.
This was incredible.
It was so good. It's a small plates restaurant. It's got natural wines. Our favorite thing was the stuffed cabbage. They had a vegan stuffed cabbage, which I thought was chef's kiss. They had a radish carpaccio, which was very good. They had like a carrots with like a barbecue situation. And then the vegan Snickers, I think, was the best thing for dessert. That was such a good thing to have. But yeah, the stuffed cabbage is probably my favorite thing we had for dinner. And then that vegan Snickers, that was very good for dessert.
Yes.
But yeah, that's how to spend 2 days in Paris. Our tried and true itinerary of how to spend 2 days in Paris, how to explore. But yeah, what would you say overall is the best thing that we did?
I enjoyed the Louvre.
I said that was my favorite too. I've been to the Louvre a handful of times at this point, and I still always enjoy going because there's always new things to see and explore, and new things being restored and put on display.
Yeah, I feel like I could have spent like an entire day there and still have wanted to go back.
Yeah. What about the best thing you ate?
Chocolate mousse at Chez Genou.
Okay. I was going to say the best thing I ate was the chocolate mousse and the smoked haddock. Getting to try that from your parents' plate.
Just that one bite. That'll do it.
I'm going back, so I'm going to get that. I already know what I don't need this menu.
What was your best drink? The hot chocolate at Corette?
Yeah.
Mine was
by
hot chocolate at Le Domingo.
The Cruise Hermitage.
That was good.
And Chez Genou. Overall, would you go back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Paris. I go back a lot. I really enjoy it. Highly recommend it for anyone. And then I have written down things that we want to see next time because we're going back for the Olympics. Gallery Dior, which is a museum about the history of Dior, including a lot of their old fashions and just all sorts of fashion. And I love going to museums and seeing fashion pieces throughout the years. That's certainly something I would like to see. Musée d'Orsay. So if you want to see... I know that the Louvre pretty much has anything from like prehistory up until like past, like a little bit past the Renaissance. Musée d'Orsay is going to be where you're going to find the Impressionists, Post-Impressionists, other things like that. That's across the river from the Louvre. So if you want to see those sorts of things, that's where you're going to find it. Père Lachaise Cemetery, that's another place that we want to go check out. Also, I wrote down the Rodin Museum. We've been there before. It's got lots of sculptures from Rodin, including the Thinker. It's a beautiful museum. And then also, I haven't checked this out yet, and it's on my list to check out, is the Coulée Verte, which is a fun little walkway that sort of it inspired the High Line in New York, and it basically stretches from a point in the city up to the Bois de Vincennes, which is their big, I think it's Paris's largest park, so really cool to check out. And then there's also the Bois de Vincennes park. It's on my list too, but those are some ideas for things to do when we go back next time, but as well as how to spend 2 days in Paris. If you guys like what you're listening to, please go ahead and give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts. That always really, really helps us reach new people and just continue to grow our podcast. We always appreciate that. And if you guys have questions or you have questions about Paris, or you guys have been and you guys have your own tips and things, you can always reach out to us on Twitter at WW Honeymoon, Instagram and Facebook at Worldwide Honeymoon, or email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.